Welcome back to the second part of this show, the Scoreboard. And remember, I'm just reminded by my colleague that this is the second year, the first day of the second year. It's a birthday for the Scoreboard, but I wonder why did you don't come with a cake, Ken? Waziri to cut across it.
You're closer to the cooks than I am.
So I'm joined also by Wilfred Bungei, the Olympic champion, 800 meters winner here, and also Ken Chege. These are our resident analysts, and also I think there are also questions. Especially I've brought Bungei in when you talk about retired athletes. Waziri talked about the welfare of these retired athletes and how should we help these athletes to live a better life, not to live like beggars, after representing the country for so many years, and they have won gold and all this for the country, but at the end of the day, they die poor and they die like beggars. Why should they? They should live a better life. Now, let's continue. Waziri, you met with Gianni Infantino in Qatar. I'm very sure you saw what the World Cup is like, and you've given your ultimatum that until 2030, Kenya should be in the World Cup. And I remember the previous regime, or the last year, we have promised that Kenya will be in the World Cup, but we are not. And I want to hold you with that. But what was the core issue of your discussion beyond the suspension lifting? How was that discussion with Infantino like?
I had a very fine, cordial, warm interaction with the FIFA president, Mr. Gianni Infantino, and good atmosphere. We actually met at during the Cameroon-Switzerland game. We watched the game and then held a meeting during the halftime break. I mean, we almost missed the whole of the first half because our meeting took a little longer than we had anticipated. But it was a great meeting. He brought into the meeting his colleagues, Secretary General Fatma Samora and the other officials, the CAF team led by Patrice Motsepe, the president of CAF. It's a great meeting, really, and cordial, candid, honest. Impressed upon Mr. Infantino the need for Kenya to get back into international football. And it's good that we were holding our discussions in a stadium in the World Cup atmosphere, and it's magical. The atmosphere in those stadia is absolutely mind-blowing. And I told him, really, we need to allow Kenya to compete, to contest, to be here, to be part of the creme de la creme of world football. But we also discussed two important things. Number one, we discussed integrity in football. And if you've seen the letter that was sent to FKF by General Secretary Fatma, they talk about integrity, they talk about the court cases that are still in court and the fact that that cannot be swept under the carpet. And so I impressed on FIFA that even as Kenya gets back into the fold, we must maintain fidelity to the rule of law, to integrity, transparency, accountability. Then secondly, I urged FIFA to move with haste to support Kenya in terms of getting back to the basics, developing our grassroots football, developing youth football, and making our infrastructure better so that we can upgrade the standards of our infrastructure. And that is why in the first month of 2023, I expect a FIFA mission here. FIFA will be sending a delegation here so that we can progress some of the issues we agreed upon in that meeting.
Was there any chance of Nick Lindor getting back to the helm of FKF? Or should we see another committee? Are we going to have an election, by the way, or we are going to see another normalization committee, which has really ruined football in this country?
I do not elect football officials. I do not elect officials of any federation. We live in a democracy. Federations are autonomous entities. They have their constitutions. They hold their elections. Government comes in to enforce the law. Government comes in to enforce accountability and to protect the integrity of the sport. And as long as a federation crosses the red line when it comes to the law, government will not sit back and watch. If there are questions of integrity, the other day I was telling the rugby people when I learned that players had resorted to Mchanga to meet their basic needs. And I completely read the Riot Act to them and told them this cannot be happening. And I was asking them, and they confirmed to me that World Rugby gives them 55 million shillings a year. So if you're being given 55 million shillings a year and you're not paying your players for months, you're sending players to international competitions like the Dubai series without allowances. What exactly are you doing with this money? And so those questions of transparency, those questions of accountability, they just diminish sport. How can a premium brand like Rugby Sevens not attract sponsorship? How? It means that sponsors are being put off by the misconduct of the federations. And we are not going to allow federations to be run in a manner that they kill sports instead of building sports. And I have previously mentioned where cricket used to be and where cricket is now, where hockey used to be and where hockey is now. We have seen sports completely diminish, where boxing used to be and where boxing is now. Kenya is a country that has even won an Olympics boxing gold medal. My homeboy, the late Wangila Napunyi, won this country a boxing gold medal at the 1988 Olympic Games. Where is boxing today? So don't take any pedestal we stand on for granted. Don't take our position in athletics for granted. Don't take our position in any sport for granted, because it could all go up in smoke like that. So we cannot allow any misconduct. And on that, there's no compromise.
There's something I think, again, you want to ask about the line between integrity and government interference.
Waziri, before I ask about the line between government interference and government control, you are very passionate. This is something you are very passionate about, and this is people overstaying their tenures in these federations, in our sports federations. Now, one of the reasons that happens, and it appears to be democratic because there is an election every time, is that they use a system of election called the delegate system. This is where the person who is at the helm is literally able to choose all the delegates who are coming to vote. And if I choose you, you're definitely going to come and vote for me. How can you, I don't know whether it's to amend the Sports Act to ensure that these people also have, like term limits or something? Because if we continue with the delegate way, we are going to have, people, everyone will be dying in office.
That is.
Yeah, Mugabe. Yeah, we've already said it.
Guys, those tendencies of apparently, those are genes that exist in very many of us who want to hang around for eternity. But if you hang around for eternity and you're doing the right thing, then we can live with it. But if you hang around and you're going down with everything, you're ruining everything, then honestly, it's not right, and it should not be allowed to happen. And elections in federations are not really run by government. They are run by federations in accordance with the constitutions of the federations. And every federation has a constitution. My challenge to members of federations is really that you need to be vigilant, you need to be involved, you need to be engaged. When constitutions are being amended by some of these characters to completely have a lopsided constitution that grants incumbents incredible powers that would even make some of the worst dictators in life, in history, flinch. I mean, where are you? Where are these guys? Where are the members? Wilfred, where are the members? Where are the athletes?
Well, I think that, that question was really puts me to a situation whereby, because I'm a retired athlete, and actually if you find in the constitution,
and we need you guys who are retired athletes in the management of sports.
Well, we will talk about that.
Yeah.
But the first question that I wanted to ask is that, you see, like in world athletics, they do not allow any athlete who is still active, to vote. And that's why Ken is asking that, it is about delegates. And it is so difficult, to get inside there. And that is where we get a lot of challenges. I mean, Waziri, you find so many people always, and especially retired athletes, complaining that, we went. And not only retired athletes, because in this show, we have had footballers, volleyballers, all complaining that we have nowhere to go. Which, now, it will bring me even to the main question that I wanted to ask you, Waziri. Most of the sportsmen and women of this country, they retire at the age of 30, 35 for those who can go far. What is the government going to do with these retired athletes? Because not all of them did not go to school. We are fortunate to have those who are in the service, on the discipline forces, but we still have a bulk of those who did not at all join those ones. And I can tell you, Oziri, that their lives sometimes, I'm sure that you have watched yourself, a story being told. Now the question is, these are the athletes who brought glory to the country. What are you going to do in the period that you are? Because majority of them that I speak, they are happy you are back. And most of them, they always say, if you ever happen to meet Waziri, ask them, what is he going to do for us?
Wilfred, my position is that the athlete, the sportsman, the sportswoman is king, is queen, in the sense that it's you sportsmen and women who are the goose that lays the golden egg. And if you have a goose that is laying the golden egg, you have to protect that goose. You have to invest in that goose so that it can continue laying the golden egg. So there are two things here that we have to acknowledge. Number one, the country owes a duty of care to these great people who bring so much honor and glory to the country. The country definitely owes a duty of care, and so the country has to be more forthcoming. I was in Kericho last month to bury Wilson Chumo Kiprugut, the first winner of any Olympics medal for Kenya. He died poor. He died not even with a head of state commendation, not a single national honor. It's a shame that you walk through the streets of Nairobi and you find some charlatans whose contribution to what Kenya is today, if you are to look for any, it will be like looking for a pin in a haystack. Okay, nothing. But you have a great name like Kiprugut, and we bury him without... and we have actually started a process to see whether he can be honored posthumously, which is still a shame, which is still shameful. So you need to honor our great sportsmen and women, and whether you're talking about athletics, in football, in rugby, in cricket, across the sports. So besides national honors and that kind of stuff, we must also be able to put in place some kind of pension scheme, a pension arrangement that assures that when you are in retirement, there is a certain irreducible minimum standard of life that you are guaranteed. Okay? And that scheme should especially take care of health care. Because health in this country, minus health insurance, you are walking dead. You're really walking dead. So that is something that we are already thinking towards. And I'm very confident very soon Wilson will be inviting you to a forum where we want to discuss a draft,
yes,
which is almost ready, on a broad welfare program for our sports people in retirement. But then there is a second limb to that, which is equally significant, and that is that while you are active as an athlete, as a sportsman or sportswoman, please also be prudent with your earnings, be prudent with your income. the shelf life, the sell by date for an athlete is about 10 years. Yeah. And so you should be able to know that, of course, there are those who are fortunate to have a little bit of a longer shelf life. I mean, people like Ronaldo, you see them playing at the World Cup at the age of 37. That is unusual. Yeah. Because beyond the age of 30, 33, 35, at most, you really are now receding into retirement. So you should be able also to map your life so that you are a bit more prudent. Okay? Some of our sports people also really blow the golden years. Okay? And part of what we should be doing under that welfare program is advice on investment, okay? Some kind of guidance on how to invest, how to better care for your earnings and that kind of stuff. So all that put together, we should be able to have a happier athlete in retirement.
Absolutely.
And Wilfred, looks like you've taken care of your issues pretty well. You look great.
Well, Waziri, you know, I mean, I've had challenges in life.
You don't look like you need pension. You look like you
No,
sorted yourself.
My concern actually is for those
Yes.
ones who, because I'm fortunate, you know, to be able to work with KTN.
Yes.
Which it is not.
Not everybody.
Yeah, not
can
everybody, and that is why
yes.
it becomes a concern, and it becomes like everybody wants to know. And I think even that is one of the reasons why Waziri, you find some athletes are moving out of the country, you know,
yes.
to run for other countries. I don't know whether you are concerned about this.
Very concerned.
Yeah, because one,
Very concerned.
if you look at those athletes also, they go and perform out there. I do not know if, as a government, you have asked yourself why these athletes, they go out there, then they are able to beat our own athletes.
Like Jeruto from Kazakhstan. And they didn't even have a flag on the World Championship. They didn't have a flag for her, for Kazakhstan. After she beat us hands down, and I was like, wow.
Kazakhstan, of all places.
Yeah, because, you know,
These days you're going to have an Olympics
for Kenya, but there's those who are Kenyan. Who used to be Kenyan. Kenyans plus Kenya.
yeah, but of course, you know, I mean, we
But
always,
it's a serious issue.
Yeah, it is.
Even as we laugh about it, it's a serious issue.
So-
the
so-
hemorrhage of talent is a cause for concern. And one way of arresting that is just having a framework where we can take better care of our athletes. Be more forthcoming, be more, I mean, just do what is right. Yeah.
Now, we have, as we know, you know, it has become always a concern when we talk about sports ministry being the lean ministry. I think that is what everybody always talks about. But if we were to make this country a sporting nation, I believe issues to do with health and the like would be able to reduce. I don't know, Waziri, what are you thinking about making this country? Because most of the concern of even retired athletes, they are like, if we were able to get to certain activities, we can be able to help. So I don't know, you as Waziri for sports, do you think you will be able to make this country as a sports nation?
We already have a good pedigree as a sporting nation. What I think we need to do is to turn sports in this country into a mega industry, because we still treat sports in this country merely for entertainment, something like a sideshow, so that even in terms of budgetary allocation, sports is not really seen as a priority. And we need to change that mindset, because sports is a huge industry. I mean, even in big economies like the US, the UK, Germany, across the European Union, even in Nigeria and South Africa, sports is a mega industry. It employs incredible numbers of people. It contributes significantly to the GDP. And so we just need to shift that thinking and look at sports as an industry. And there's so much more that can be done. And I think that is where I want to put a bit of emphasis. We need to get investment into sports. But for sports to be run as an industry, then the culture there must also be industrial. It must be disciplined. It must be transparent. It must be run as a business. And therefore you have to be faithful to basic fundamentals of a business.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
I think Ken has a story an issue about swimming here, because swimming, remember,
Yes.
the just Danford brothers, since they won the Olympics and they retired, swimming has gone down. They're suspended, by the way.
Yes, Waziri, so just like football, just like we nearly fell into the athletics, FINA has suspended swimming. The Kenya Swimming Federation has not been in their books, I think, for almost a year now. In fact, if there is any Kenyan swimmer who goes for an international competition, they have to have a special invite from FINA, and they swim under FINA, not under Kenya.
But that
I
happened
don't know.
in Tanzania.
Yes, it happened in just the
a
other
week
day.
ago,
A week ago,
where they
yes.
went to Tanzania. They're not
Yes.
allowed to put the flag on their
The Kenyan flag.
on their kits, and also the name Kenya should never be mentioned at any point. You don't carry your flag. It's a shame
Yes.
that our swimmers are going out swimming like refugees.
That's a shame I have inherited. I've inherited shame, left, right, center. Huku kule.
That's the reality.
Yeah.
That's the reality.
But you see, I'm here to do a job.
Exactly.
I'm here to fix this.
Yes.
I have actually met FINA already.
Oh, good.
I met FINA in the first week of coming to office. I met the wrangling officials within the Swimming Federation. We are sorting it out. We are almost getting a resolution of that matter. You may know that even badminton, I've also been banned by the World Badminton Federation. We are also trying to see how we can sort that out. And it's just because of selfishness. It's just because of myopia. People not looking at the big picture. People looking at self-interest, not looking at the interest of the athlete, of the player, or interest of the flag. And it's really, really shameful. It's regrettable, actually. To all those who are really part of this, really, it's a shame on you. So it's a big shame on you. Yeah.
Waziri, 5 top leagues are on TV. La Liga, EPL, Bundesliga, Serie A. You have South African League, you have the Zambian League. They're on TV. Even Ethiopian League is on SuperSport. Then we talk about premium brands. This is money. It's right, TV rights and viewership here we're talking about. And Kenya is not in that category. We are just here. Sometimes we gamble KTN News, sometimes we gamble Brudani TV, which is a standard media group brand. Are we anywhere close or near striking a deal with a broadcaster who can air our sports on TV, so that we have this TV rights thing and also the viewership to make this league more better? Because few years ago, there were people coming from Uganda and Ghana, Cameroon to play in this country, to give our players a challenge. That's why we have Olungas out there, because they were given a challenge. But nowadays, nobody's coming from outside because you're not on TV. Nobody cares.
It is tragic. It's really tragic. Live coverage of football is now an integral part of developing football, sports. And when I was here, when I was minister here about 9 years ago, we built a formidable relationship with SuperSport. I even personally traveled to South Africa to strengthen that relationship between the league and SuperSport. Very unfortunate that we lost SuperSport, and we then lost SuperSport to a league that I believe is really not superior to ours. And the technical team that is running SuperSport live broadcast in that league is actually all Kenyan. The crew is Kenyan. So it's quite unfortunate. And then Star Times came in, but then with the ban that just got lifted the other day, Star Times also took flight. And so it is one of those issues we are grappling with. I'm convening a roundtable of sponsors, football sponsors next week. And among the issues we are discussing is how to get live coverage back. But let me also challenge our local media houses. Why can't KTN give us live football? Why can't KTN give us live football so that SuperSport can get a live feed, can get a feed from from KTN. I was asking KBC the other day, you are a state-funded broadcaster. Why can KBC is now screening some World Cup games live? Why can KBC, because sometimes, we are also too restricted in our thinking. Our media houses are really premier in terms of their capacity, in terms of the personnel, in terms of the quality of the signal. We really are up there with the best in the world in terms of our capability. So why, let me use this forum to ask KTN, why can't you give us live football? Why don't you come to talk to the Minister for Sports for us to look for a sponsor to put money in Standard Media Group to get live football on KTN, so that if SuperSport wants to then screen this football beyond the reach of KTN, they take the feed from they take the signal from KTN. Why don't you do it? Why?
Well, really, that's a challenge not only to me but the entire company,
the whole media space.
But we will talk about that with our marketing managers so that they can
and we can mobilize sponsorship around that kind of project, and then we do a product that is Kenyan controlled, our own product, sponsored internally, deployed internally in our own media space.
I've seen a player whom I won't mention the name on Twitter asking this question. Actually, there are two. One is asking the Tong Ilmudu Federation has not received the funding which you authorized. They says clearly that there are people who are fighting them being funded by the ministry, yet you gave a communication that they should be funded because this is a game which brings 40 countries to Mombasa from 10th to 21st. And also there's another one right on your screen there. Is Kremlin, his name is Kremlin, and he says to make sure that Nick Mwendwa is completely out of
That office.
I think out of the office, I think. So there's another one here, and ensure that the salaries of athletes, players are capped at certain favorable units. Raw talents are in primary and high school. Actually, that's where we dropped the ball, I think, some years back, because that's where the Rhodesians came from. Al Ahmed says, forget instant gratificational. Go to the drawing board in building long-term athletes development program for tiny pin-sized little people to early 20s. I bet we have interest of doing this. No politician will. I think, Waziri,
I get the point.
You can tackle the funding of Tongil Mudu and the skating federation as well. They're supposed to leave this country in this month to go to, in the next 1 week, to go, I don't know, to Egypt to participate. They gave their budget in January this year, and there's nothing which is happening. And also Tongil Mudu are complaining as well. Maybe you can just give an...
I don't want to get into administrative issues on TV. Those are administrative issues. If a request has come in, sometimes requests delay because of the time in which the request has been presented. And that's why when I met federations at Kasarani a couple of weeks ago, we agreed on a raft of conditions that need to be met for funding. And one of those is just timely putting in a request in time, and then also meeting certain conditions. Sometimes you bring in your request, but you never share with us how you perform. You never share with us returns of the last time you are given money. So there are all sorts of issues, but those are administrative issues. If you've already put in a request and it is being processed, please, the minister does not process those things. Those things have an administrative way of being handled. And I believe they're being handled administratively. The bigger issue is the question that has been raised on how to develop talent. And I did mention at the beginning of this show that we need to move into developing talent. You realize that a lot of the questions that come from federations is never about give us money to develop talent. It is about give us money to go on a trip. Give us money to go to Dubai. Give us money to go to Mombasa. I find that really petty. I find that really narrow. I want federations to bother the ministry about give us money to invest in this youth talent development program.
Yeah.
Give us money to improve this infrastructure for our sportsmen and women. So this federation don't seem to have any program to develop the sport. Ni trip to Sherehe, pare after pare, from here to there.
By the way, badminton last year, Badminton Federation took athletes to Uganda, and they were banned by then. I don't know how they participated in Uganda. That's something that should be investigated, because it's not going to be party after party.
But let me just emphasize that we are launching a program called Talanta Hela. Talanta Hela is a program that is going to help us digitally, deploying the digital space to identify talent. And it's talent across the creative sector: sports, music, film, theater, visual art, and all that. We will spot talent. For instance, you are in Wajir or you are in Tambaj. You believe you can play football. Take a clip of 10 minutes, upload it on a portal. We are putting about 20, 15 coaches in a space like here who will be poring over those clips and identifying talent, bringing them to the Kenya's Academy of Sports, grow this talent. Then this talent can then be marketed to feed our teams, to feed our national teams, and also to enter into the international space. Because right now, talking football, for instance, you look at the 5 top leagues in Europe: Premier League, Bundesliga, the Liga,
Syria,
La Liga, Syria, okay? Not a single Kenyan player even in the second division. Not one. Now these teams we want to compete with, Senegal, Ghana, Morocco, Tunisia, Cameroon. Those are the 5 African teams at Qatar 2022. Look at all those leagues. Look at those leagues.
top players.
Top players. You go to the Bundesliga, Mane is ripping the net every game for Bayern. Okay? You go to France, the whole of that Senegalese team, okay, is all over that French league. You go to Belgium, okay? So we also need to be able to have a talent conveyor belt that can feed our local league while also being available to compete in those premier sporting arena. Talanta Hela is going to help us to do that. Develop talent, market talent, but also attract money into our sports. I want you federations to bring it, to disturb me with plans to develop talent. Not sherehe, enda Dubai leo, okay? Enda wapi leo. It's okay to go and compete. And then after you go and compete in these things, you don't come to tell us how you performed and how your participation is adding value to our sporting profile. There's a new sheriff in town.
There's a new sheriff in town.
It is business unusual, not business as usual.
There's a new sheriff in town, as you have heard. There's a new sheriff in town. You play by the rules. Account for the money that he gives you. Show us what you did when you went out there.
How did you
perform? And then we can found you more. That's what the new sheriff is saying. And thank you so much, Ken and Wilfred and Waziri, for showing up this evening. You've been up since 5 in the morning in the office, and now it's almost 11:30, and you are still here. Thank you for showing up.
Thank
and
you.
It's a privilege for me having you the show the first day of the second year of the Scoreboard show. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a good night and we'll continue communicating. This conversation continues online on social media. My name is Jeff Hogire. Have a great night.